Maybe. It played the wrong intro.
Oh,
The thing about StreamYard here, we're on episode 99 of our
holy
Bitcoin
cow,
Liberty
really?
Live. Okay,
Woo.
I'm going to play our real intro because
Yeah, it's nice.
StreamYard switches it on me, even though I have different modes that I tell it, no, I'm going into the Bitcoin Liberty Live studio versus the Bitcoiners United studio.
Yeah.
And it still switches them randomly. Like it just, sometimes it doesn't switch them. Other times they're switched. This is our intro. There we go.
That's better.
It's Bitcoin Liberty Live.
Yeah, not united. We're not united. We're Liberty.
Yeah, Daniel and I are not united. We come on here to fight.
Yeah.
As we have 98 times previously.
Right.
Our next episode is going to be number 100.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Sooner or later, someone's going to realize how brilliant we are, right?
I know there's people like Johnny, wherever he is going to be like, I was so early. It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
OpenAI bought a podcast that isn't huge, but it's like that. What is it? TBPN. It's like a tech business news or some kind of tech business news. It's basically and now if I were a genius, maybe this would be different, but it's a couple of really smart guys that have fingers on the pulse of a lot of business, whatever, and they make a podcast like this, and they put out I don't know, a few a week or maybe they're daily, but they've been doing that for a couple of years, and OpenAI bought them for a shit ton of money, like $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, it's like free advertising, isn't it? Like they can use that platform to shape their narrative. So kind of makes sense, right? Like,
well, and they've in the past been critical of AI and even OpenAI, and they're like, that won't change just because we've been bought. Yeah. It's like, well, incentives being what they are, I'm sure you're not
sure about that. Yeah.
OpenAI.
So you mean to tell me the people that just wrote you a 9-figure check aren't going to have any influence on your content? Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting.
You're no Joe Rogan, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, even Rogan, he'll shout out Perplexity all the time as far as their go-to AI, and Spotify being, I guess, pretty hands-off with him, but still, he will claim they just let me do what I want, and okay.
Well, he's got more weight than they do, right? Like they lose.
Yeah, he doesn't need them, but
he doesn't need them at all. Like it's just a platform that has better infrastructure, but he could build that infrastructure himself in about 10 seconds if he wanted to. So he's not beholden to anybody. I mean, he was unique in the regard that he built that whole that thing just like. I mean, he's probably the most successful comedian crossover ever in the history of podcasting, right? And a lot of those old school comedians that came up during that time all did, like that Asian guy. He used to do a bit. Like I used to see him at the Comedy Store, and back before he was like on TV, and because he got on, I can't remember, some sketch show back in the day. But now he's got
a guy who was a doctor.
No, he's a guy who was a bum, right? Like one of his big shticks was like his Korean parents would be like, "Oh yeah, I come to this country, I work hard, and what does my son become? Not doctor, not lawyer, but clown. I want to be a clown." And and he would tell stories about like how his parents would make him go sell corn on the side of the street and shit like that. So he's a pretty funny guy, right?
And hustle.
Yeah, but I mean, he ground his way up through the comedy ranks and the touring and all that kind of stuff. And now his pod, him and that guy, what's his name? He's on Rogan all the time. Mullet hair guy, kind of funny dude as well.
Oh, recently he was on. I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember.
But they run a pod together now. They do really well. Like a lot of comedians have found like podcasting to be a surprisingly interesting venue for them, but Rogan by far is like tops on those guys.
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn,
I just
exactly.
had to glance at it because he was on like a couple days ago.
He was on your show?
No, he was on Rogan.
Oh, I was like, wow, dude, you got some big bookings coming down the line here.
Which I did listen to some of it, and I know they get into good juicy nuggets on things, and I can appreciate because it's often operating on vibe.
Right.
At the same time, when I listen to some of it, I feel like I'm getting dumber if I think too hard about this because it's some of the banter is just for fun.
Yeah.
And if I'm very judgmental about it, I'm just like, okay, like I
Right.
don't need to listen to half an hour of this,
Yeah.
sex with AI robots or whatever and stuff. But they
Wait, is that a thing?
well, what
Where do I
AI
sign up?
yeah, so what it speaks to though is that people crave that human to human banter and just sort of conversation and something that feels real.
Yeah.
So OpenAI buying a broadcast of two guys chatting and meandering on topics like as we do. It's like it's basically it's looking for authentic content to sift off of, or you'd say why do they want this kind of like content? There's
Yeah.
plenty of content out there they can just kind of scoop, and they're willing to pay for it. I thought they're struggling for money or whatever. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting like to spend so much money for authentic human content, long form stuff. I don't know. It's interesting getting human content, I guess.
Well, I don't even know. I mean, given they are an AI company, right? Like there is a plausible, hypothesis that could emerge from this where you say, well, maybe they just wanted to buy this thing that's already got some real world credibility. They get all the IP. They bury a clause in there that says, hey, we can just make robot versions of you and we'll just make them say whatever the fuck we want. And then we'll disappear you. And
As we have before.
as we have before, that Bugatti didn't buy itself or whatever fucking car that
Yeah.
fucking guy bought. But like I just saw a thing on not Impact Theory, but one of the other pods, that black kid from England, hugely successful. Oh, Diary of a CEO, I think.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
anyway, there's a AI researcher that was on there that just shits all over the whole AI industry, and she's got a new book out and is kind of shilling that right now. But her take on the whole thing was pretty interesting, and just like some of these personalities like Elon Musk and fucking what's his face, the guy at ChatGPT and the guy that broke off and made Claude and
Yeah, Sam Altman and others, yeah.
yeah.
Is it Anthropic doing Claude?
Yeah, Anthropic.
Which
But
there's a I don't know if I like them. I don't have all the details at hand, but they are much into controlling the nature of code and how it's generated, how it's directed. In the past, at least, pretty woke, controlled DEI type oriented AI stuff and managing narratives around outcomes and the code generation and how that's done is very controlling. But
yeah, well, they all are. I mean, like none of these people is open about what they're doing, and the point the gal was making in her book was like she calls them empires of AI or something like that. And she said empire was the closest analogy I could come up with for what these people are doing, because they're going out. And one of her more interesting points I thought was like all of these AI platforms could be narrowly tailored to a specific domain, right? Like if you went, hey, we're starting an AI company and our sole focus is on radiography, or our sole focus is on chemical engineering, or our sole focus is on computer science, or whatever it is. These things could be enormously powerful adjuncts to human interaction, right? But instead, she says, they keep pushing for this AGI thing as if it's like the pinnacle of all achievement. And it's the most critical thing that we have to do because if someone else does it, the world ends, right? So in pursuit of that objective that they can't define, they go around and they just scoop up massive amounts of resources. They scoop up massive amounts of labor. They scoop up massive amounts of data. They scoop up massive amounts of everything, just like empires used to do. They go, well, we are the most, thoughtful leaders in the world right now. I am Pericles. I am whatever. I am the best at, whatever. So I'm Alexander. Everything Alexander thinks is gold. So we should make everything adhere to what Alexander believes. Right. And so she says that's kind of what these AI companies are doing.
Hmm.
But, it was sort of interesting to think about that. Like, oh yeah, they are scooping up like massive amounts of resources at a fraction of what it cost us. And they're getting all sorts of legislative kickbacks, and they're very opaque about everything they're doing. Like, they don't have to tell anybody shit. All they have to do is go, national security, China might do it first, the world will end, blah, blah, blah. And then they get like the sort of veritable blank check, right?
Hmm.
But meanwhile, she was talking about a lot of people where they get laid off from an industry like marketing. And then the AI company will turn around and go, hey, we saw you just got laid off because you're at this marketing company. We'd like you to come and program our robot to be better at marketing. And they're like, but it's like contract work. And it's like where they just kind of, they don't give you a schedule. They don't tell you what work you're going to have or not have. You just are like chained to your computer 24/7, waiting for the notice to come through so you can bid on whether or not you get to automate your own job. So it's kind of like,
As soon as you can automate the process you do, then we don't think we need you, actually.
right. And we don't really want to pay you for it, or we want to pay as little as possible to squeeze that out of you. So I know you're hurting. I know you can't work anymore because of the work we're doing. And we really want you to make it so the work we're doing is way better than the way we're doing it. So can you help us do that? But we're not really going to pay you for it.
Yeah.
Go. And people are just like, but I need a job. I can't pay my bills. Blah, 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 blah. So I don't know, man. Yeah, it was interesting stuff.
I was just imagining having the kind of very, very common job, likely that like, okay, we need someone to, like, say, go through the videos, write a short summary of things, or make the thumbnails, or give them brief titles, organize them, do all these things as we do every time because we need that. And then you're good at that, but it's okay. It might be tedious, but like it takes someone good at writing and what pops and things. And then as a smart employee, you're like, I can have AI do this for me and kind of trim it, but like suddenly my job gets really easy and you're just on top of it.
Right.
Management finds out how it works and like, so what do you do here? What is it that you do here?
Exactly.
Well, I just make sure the AI is still running.
Yeah.
And I just make sure that info gets to that info.
Right.
And well, so who's doing that? Well, it's AI, but I just sort of make sure it's running. And they're like,
yeah,
okay, so what is it that you do here?
exactly.
It's like, why did I just work myself out of a job? It's like, oh, no. So the alternative, I've worked with people years ago who were like this, where it's like, tell me about how you do what you do. And it's like, oh, it's so complicated. It's hard to even describe. It's so many things. What don't I do? Oh, it's all this stuff. But at the same time, you're looking at it going, I'm not really sure what you do.
Yeah. Sounds like you're doing nothing. Yeah.
That's no. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so many things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's one of those, we'll see what happens with AI, right? Like, I know right now it's very powerful for the work I'm doing, particularly. But it's also like something you got to really pay attention to, right? So it'll be interesting to see how they end up playing out. Like, I think it is clearly a bubble, right? By like every metric at this point. Like, I just kind of step back and go, I've seen this fucking video before. I kind of know how this all resolves, and it doesn't mean that it's all vaporware, but the likelihood that any of these clowns is pushing towards the thing they claim they're pushing towards seems to me ever closer to zero at this point, right? I go like, and especially with things like AGI, you go, well, what's AGI? Well, that's when a computer can do XYZ thing. Well, 2 years ago, you said it was when a computer could do XYZ thing, and then you crossed that barrier and you said you're still not there. So which is it? Well, reasons. And now here's the new goalpost, right? And then they go, oh, well, we got to that goalpost, and it turns out it's more complex than that. But if you go ask like a neuroscientist or a psychologist or a neuropsychologist or behavioral psychologist or any of these people and go, what's intelligence? They go, wow, that's a tough one, right? So like for these robot companies to come along and go, we think intelligence is a network of things. And, it's like an algorithm. It can be reduced to an algorithm. You go, well, that's an perspective. That is a way to think about things. That's not the settled way to think about things. And it certainly doesn't justify that we should devote $2 trillion worth of national resources to your idea, because you haven't really demonstrated that it's true. So it's like,
Mm.
uh, so those kind of things, I go, well, if that's really the goal, it's kind of like, it sounds exactly like the web to me. The web is going to change everything. How? Reasons. It's like, well, but what reasons? Well, pet.com. Right? It's like eBay. It's like,
Think
well,
of an idea, any
yeah.
just thought,
And
and
then
then
put
put
.com.
.com behind it. That's
Exactly.
gonna be the web, and it's like,
Right.
oh wow.
Yeah. Well, but that's the same thing as, like, just think of any human task and then just put AGI behind it. And that's going to be us. And it's like, I think I heard that somewhere a while ago.
Yeah.
And then, like, that whole thing kind of collapsed, if I remember correctly. What happened after that? Oh yeah, everything cratered, and then we found like 4 companies that actually did something with the web, and the rest of you clowns just went away, right?
Yeah,
So
you
I
want
imagine,
presence, but you're not. Yeah, you're not the core industry. Um, when I was talking so a couple days ago, having Jeff Booth on here, and
yeah, huge.
he's all about just, I mean, and for years, 7 years from his book and everything else. I mean, the just this giant collision of tech and those deflationary pressures interacting with our credit-based system, and this the money printing and the need for GDP or whatever numbers to just go up, and that they don't jive, and so that rupture. What I mean, it's hard to see when I talk about these ideas, and I want to kind of zoom out and imagine, what is that though? What happens? What does that look like? And I mean, one outcome is war. That also it correlates with the whole concept. I mean, Jeff has mentioned it, but he didn't get into it. But the idea of like a fourth turning, or basically this huge gap between different forces that don't fit together. They're opposites, and they're colliding hard, and it's exponential. And so, like, basically, without him getting very dramatic in his, I mean, he's so like smooth and measured in his, just
Everything. Yeah.
everything. Basically, it's going to be very, very, very chaotic and disruptive, and for many, scary, hard, thing. There will be ruptures left and right, and just that it's hard to imagine how it, not to say collapse, but just how this reconciles itself,
Yeah.
as it kind of can't unless systems really change. And so, but basically, with failed money too, what they do to shore that up and continue functioning. And so, yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. Well, continue. Sorry.
all I can say is that, I mean, even Jeff can't know or say, but he just says it should be a very chaotic time, is what he would imagine. So,
Yeah. I mean, I love Jeff Booth. Like, I think that guy is inspirational. I love what he has to say. And the deeper I get into the monetary origin work that I'm doing, the less convinced I am of a lot of sort of prominent narratives, right? Um, the the core problem for me is increasingly that I don't view money as a separate thing from state capacity, right? Like, I go, you can't, as best I can tell from the evidence I've assembled so far, money is not just a thing that gets tacked on to other things, right? There's not like, well, we were all trading and Tom had shells and I had shoes and we couldn't figure out how many shells were good for shoes, or I didn't need shoes that particular day, but Tom had lots of shoes on offer, and when we couldn't figure out how to swap his shoes for my ox cart or whatever it was. I go, I don't, well, there's no evidence that shows that arrangement ever happened, right? Like, that one seems pretty well settled by the archaeological evidence so far and the anthropological evidence. These people have said there is no compelling evidence in any find anywhere on planet Earth that says there was once a barter economy that really struggled to scale. Therefore, people swapped coins for shoes and ox carts, right? So you go, okay, well that's problematic right there. And then you go, well, the state narratives don't really add up, and the credit first narratives don't really add up. Like David Graeber and Mitchell Hines is an influential writer here who said all money is credit, and therefore money is credit. All money is credit. He literally said that. Whereas Knapp, who came up with chartalism, literally said all money is therefore chartal. Means all money is state oriented. You go, really? But all of like MMT is based on those two ideas, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you look at these modern policy prescriptions and they just take those two ideas as settled. And I'm looking at the history and going like, where exactly does the chartal argument emerge from this complicated text? Selective as it may be in my book, where do you see the moment chartal became money? You go, well, it's not there. Like there's nowhere, you can't point to anything and go money, money, money. But what it does point to is like administrative problems, right? They go, well, how do we've got 500 people in our village and we all raise wheat and a few of us raise goats, and we all need to pitch in to make sure that the, ditches are dug and fields are watered and, XYZ. But now that community has grown to 5,000. Like, how do you keep track of that? Oh, God, that's a pain in the ass, right? Like, it used to be I would just like record it on my fingers, right? Or I just remember, like, oh, yeah, I gave Tom 2 bushels of wheat last month. Now Tom owes me 5 bushels of wheat or whatever it was. But after a while, that gets to be a problem, right? So you go, well, how do you manage that? How would you manage that in your house? If you like, or even in your work, you go, well, I supervise 2 people. Pretty fucking easy to do, right? Like that's a no-brainer. You go, I supervise 2,000. Well, you probably have to have some way to keep track of that shit, right? Like you're not going to just remember everybody. You got to go like, oh, well, and you have means to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's what I'm saying is like, that's an administrative problem, right? So it's the same thing when you talk about debts, obligations, people giving out grain, whatever it is. So if you look at those and you go, okay, this is scaling administrative capacity, then you go, okay, money is going to collapse. That when I hear that, I go, oh, so you're saying administrative capacity is going to collapse. How really? That doesn't sound right to me, right? Like if money went away tomorrow, I think all of everything that we rely on goes away right alongside of it, and everybody dies. So when people say, oh, money's about to collapse, money's this, money's that, money's broken, money's this, I go, I think it's kind of working as intended. Like I don't think there's any sort of like rupture moment coming here. Because even in the most stark example of a rupture moment, when the Roman Empire collapsed, and it collapsed like, like a deflating balloon, none of this stuff just went away, right? It wasn't like, oh, well, just it's all mass chaos now. Everyone was just like killing each other in the streets and everyone starved and everyone died. It's like, no, it just kind of shattered and then went off into little smaller versions of the same thing. Like nothing materially. If you were a farmer in Northern Europe at the collapse of the empire, your life didn't meaningfully change. Yeah, you were just like, well, I guess I got to keep farming. And well, I used to pay it to a guy with a little brush on his hat. Now I pay it to a guy that's got a feather in his hat, but I'm still paying it to some guy. I don't know.
They're letting me farm.
Yeah, I'm still farming. They didn't kill me. So, I guess we're just doing this now. So if you look at it, you go, well, how much chaos is there in like the collapse of Rome? Well, it wasn't chaos, right? It wasn't just like one day Rome was there and then the next day Rome went away. It was like over the course of about 600 years, things just kind of slowly drifted into like, well, this is kind of the way things are happening now.
Yeah.
But if you took a slice out of any one of those 10 years or 50 years and go, what happened in this 50 years that was so monumental that it changed everything? Well, in that one little 50 years, kind of not much. I mean, like there were some problems and they kind of dealt with the problems, and then some other problems showed up and then they kind of dealt with those problems. And then these problems became too big. So they went and tried this and that didn't really work. but like that didn't really play out for like 150 years, right? So what would have happened if you were on the street in, Babylon at, 200 AD or whatever? It's like, not much really. Like there were
Yeah.
local disasters, local problems, but it wasn't like the turning has occurred. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the system's self preservation, like it will continue. It will figure out ways to however it kind of rebrands itself or sells the narrative or whatever it is, it shall continue. I think of like Paula with the BTC Edge, and she had a story about like with her parents having career long pensions built up and whatever, and then the Zimbabwe government says we're going to cut zeros off the money and rebase it, and the numbers are the same. We just cut zeros off because it's out of hand, all this stuff.
Right.
But it'll still work, and covering up for inflation, where suddenly what they felt was a lifelong career of a pension is now going to buy a fraction of what it could, and all of that work where I felt like I could retire suddenly is like I'm poor.
Yeah.
I could see that too, where quietly, like, okay, we're not going to up and cut zeros off our currency or who knows what, but
well, we might
almost invisibly. It's just kind of, it gets like the money prints and whatever, and costs of things go up, and in certain areas numbers go up, and then but then also that includes the things you got to buy to eat and live, and so I could see people just feeling poor or maybe suddenly poor. I don't know. So not to say collapse, but there was a
that was funny. Yeah, me too, bro.
There was I posted a thing on X. I saw a thing where a guy used mesh radio to do
that was awesome.
transit across the globe just using radio, no internet protocol at all, just through radio. He did a Bitcoin transaction. It was like, oh
yeah,
proof of concept there.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of ways to skin that cat. So
that's cool.
Yeah, but you were saying, sorry.
Anyway, so not to say, oh, the system will collapse. It's more like, no, the system shall continue, hook, crook, or however. But people will feel change or feel like, well, gee, Social Security is going to be insolvent in 6 years. The Congressional Budgetary Committee got together. I played that last time, I think, where they're like, how do we keep Social Security from not being worth, nothing, like bankrupt in 6 years? Well, print more money but make it a 401k,
right?
Whatever. So they can't, I don't know, or what, they got to print money. So maybe things like that. Like, oh, you still have your Social Security. It's just that might as well call it UBI. And in fact, we'll just roll out UBI.
Maybe.
And then you're on par with everybody else who is stuck like everybody else, poor like everybody else.
Yeah.
Even as you may still be working. I don't know. So,
well, I mean, that's what I'm getting at is kind of like, just think about our lifetime, right? Like I grew up in the 70s and there were people waiting in line for gas. They had just come off the gold standard officially. They just kicked that. They were just like, we're not doing this anymore. That was it. I mean, it wasn't like reasons or they just went, nah, we don't feel like it, right? Like we can't pay the bill. Sorry. And then everything got kind of a little wonky and then it just kind of went right back to what it was. And so like the world didn't end. Nothing collapsed. We went off the gold standard in our lifetime and it's just kind of the thing that kept going, right? You could still go to the grocery store. You could still, get food. You could still get gas. You might have to wait in line in some cities and some places. But, for the most part, life just kept going, right? And then the 80s come along and, Reagan breaks out the national credit card and starts just like inflating the shit of everything and kind of printing his way out of the doldrums. And everyone goes, yay, party time. And then the first collapse from that happens. They went, oh, you mean this causes risk in the system? Oh, we didn't think about that. Oops. All right, well, patch over that. How? Just print some more shit, dude. Like, it's fine. Just bail them out.
That memory we have of like the economy was great. It's like, okay, how was it great? Because we had just started printing a lot of money.
Right. And then through the 90s, they printed like crazy, but the 90s were awesome, dude. Like you had shopping malls and like, I mean, it was a pretty chill time.
Yeah.
You know, they balanced the budget and, you know, I mean, it was like, there was nothing really going on that it was all kind of like, hey, this is pretty cool. I kind of
Like
dig
we
life
won
right
the
now.
Cold War. Yeah.
All that, you know, I mean, so like the narratives were all kind of pointing up, right? And then someone knocked down a couple of buildings and that caused everyone to get a little in a tiff. And so what they do, they go, oh, well, this is a problem. Let's print money and go to war, right? Because that makes sense. But that solves a lot of administrative problems. Like if you're a military guy and you go, hey, man, we got like these big boxes of missiles and shit, and they have a shelf life. Like they can't just sit there forever. Like we got to use
Getting
them.
old.
Yeah.
There's better stuff.
And there's new shit coming. So it's like they have, you know, they have a need to turn inventory just as a core administrative managerial problem. They go, we've got a bunch of shit stacked up and we can't just leave it there because when we need it, it might not work anymore. So we need to cycle through the stock.
And they're paying to maintain it, you know.
And they pay to maintain it. So we need somewhere to use this shit, right? And when it comes to something like a large scale conflict in a theater, like Rumsfeld is on the record saying, well, there's no good targets in Afghanistan, right? And you go, what's that mean? It means we can't dump our shit there, dude. Like it's not going to do anything. Like we can't send all our like bitching like battlefield tech into that conflict because it doesn't, these people are hiding in rocks up in the fucking mountains. We can't find them. Like we have better luck just hunting goats and giving guys muskets, you know, and just letting them camp because we can't find these fuckers and we can't stop them from attacking us. And they're kind of tough and they're used to operating in the mountains. And our guys can't do that for more than a week or two without freezing to death, starving to death, you know, breaking their ankles or all kinds of crazy shit. So this is a problem. But Iraq's pretty cool. There's cities and all kinds of shit we can bomb and, you know, drive tanks down the street and set off all these fucking crazy like depleted uranium munitions.
I was just going to say depleted uranium. When you were talking earlier, my mind went to, hey, we got all this depleted uranium we got to get rid of. Hey, let's put it in ammo. Yeah. And as we shoot, we're just seeding and getting rid of this depleted uranium. It's really heavy. What are the benefits? Oh, it's really heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway. I mean, but the beauty of it is we turned Iraq into like a literal nuclear waste dump, right? Like, oh, what do we do with all this shit? Well, all the environmental wackos here get all pissy about it. So if we just pack it into munitions and just like blast it around all over someplace we don't give a shit about, that's a pretty good way to get rid of it. And people are like, yeah. We can sell that. Oh yeah, dude, you can sell that for like huge amounts of money, right? Just take nuclear waste and just blast it into the side of a tank. It's awesome. What happens to the people who live there? Well, you know, you remember Hiroshima? It's kind of like that, but like not quite as.
They all get sick for generations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so for the next, 100 generations of kids in Iraq, they're probably going to have like a way higher rate of cancers and all sorts of weird shit. But, it's not our problem. So we got to deplete our stuff. And then they make all their money, right? So it's like, you go, well, we have to deplete munitions. We have to recycle munitions. All our buddies make and sell munitions. So we can kind of line their pockets. They're going to line my pockets. This is all working out pretty good, right? And on top of all that, you still have the military hierarchy that goes, we can't send some guy into battle that's never been in battle. Like that doesn't work. We need people that have actual ground experience fighting in combat. And we can't rely on the guy who's like 87 years old and his last tour was in Vietnam, where he's like, I remember back when we were shooting at the dinks and the blah with the mud and the blah. And they're just like, dude, we haven't done that shit for 50 years. What are you talking about? This is desert combat in a fucking urban terrain against a very different enemy that's using improvised weapons. Yeah, but back in the day when they would hide in a mud hut, we'd just blow it up with napalm. And they go, that's different. That doesn't. We need someone who knows what the hell is going on now, not that guy, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you get battlefield experience? Well, you have to go in battle, right? Like you can't be like, you can't just go, well, these guys will figure it out once they get there, because then your losses are catastrophic in the outset. And then they start to taper as these people figure out what they're doing. And you start figuring out who knows actually what they're doing and who's just full of shit, right? So battlefield experience. So you've got this like whole chain of things that you go, well, why would we go to war? Oh, there you go. I mean, there's some reasons, some possibilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Perpetual war for perpetual economy.
But
And
that's exactly it. It's like that's
defending the dollar's status, I suppose, too.
well, it's I mean, but that's what I'm getting at. Is like you go, well, where was the collapse in the dollar? We went from gold standard to uber constrained fiat, like harsh, like what did they call that when during 2008 when they said, hey, we need to cut back on social services? God, what's the term for that?
Like austerity,
Austerity, right? So like the
austerity.
70s were like no gold standard, tons of austerity, tons of fiscal discipline, and tons of problems, inflation, stagflation, all that kind of shit. That
Yeah.
morphed into like massive credit expansion, which morphed into like massive moral hazard, bailing out institutions, which morphed into this massive credit bubble, which then morphed into 2001 massive dislocation of like monetary logic there, where they just go, we're just going to print 2 trillion out of thin air so we can just line the pockets of our buddies, which then morphed into like this derivatives market and all the things of computation, which turned into 2008, which then blew up catastrophically to the point where we almost had that collapse. And they went, oh, that's a big problem. And they printed their way through that. And then they went into COVID where they're like, hey, I've got an idea. Let's just shut down everything for a couple months and see what happens. How are they going to fix it? Oh, we're just going to print our way out of that. And then now we're like looking at it and people going, fiat's broken. It's going to collapse any day now. I'm like, which part of those things wasn't the broken part? Like when did we miss? When did we not cross that boundary 100 times in the last 50 years? Like all of these things sound like the money was broken. Everything was going to collapse. Everything has now changed. The world should have been upended by now, but I still wake up every day. I still go get my coffee. I still go to the grocery store. I still can get gas. And that's never changed in the last 50 years. It's just how uncomfortable is it in the meantime? And that's, so you go, collapse is imminent. Really? Okay. Why now instead of 2020 or 2008 or 2000 or 1992 or 1989 or 1979 or 1974 or 1969 or 1965 or 1959 or like how come none of those events were the collapse, even though everybody at the time was saying this is the end of XYZ thing? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because in one sense, like the numbers involved are growing. You could say the chaos events and the numbers are growing in an exponential fashion. So if you imagine any of those hard ones from the past, well, just wait. That shall continue. So what will that be? Gosh, use your imagination, I guess. I don't know. Like there will be more.
Maybe.
I would
I mean,
say
it seems likely, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
seems
I
to
don't
be
know
the
how to,
history so far.
yeah. So like, okay, they can't do austerity. Clearly, that's long since sailed. Not only just for on a social level, unelectable, but two, they are addicted. They got to do stuff. They got to print money to do stuff. So austerity is out the window. Can't go bankrupt. Shall continue functioning and self-preserve. So what's the option left? Well, print the money.
Maybe.
Print. Got to have the money to do it.
Well, or you change the backstop, or you change the numbers, or you change the logic, or I mean, there's like, just because we're accustomed to a way of doing things doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way to do things, right? And like the Zimbabwe thing you were just talking about goes, well, what'd they do? Well, they just changed the numbers.
Cut some zeros off, yeah.
Yeah, they just chopped zeros. You go, did they print? Well, not really. I mean, they just like
not initially, but then later again.
But later, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but nobody outside of Zimbabwe was using Zimbabwe dollars. You know what I mean? Like that was not a reserve currency. That was just some ding dong fucking third world fucking shithole that happened to be overrun by colonists, right? So, if you go, well, their economy was thriving right up to the point where they decided to do that. You go, was it though? I mean, like there was a select few people that were doing really well in that country, and everyone else was dirt ass fucking poor. And they probably got pissed about it. Obviously, they did, right? They went, hey, how come you people get all this stuff and we people don't get any of this stuff? That doesn't seem fair. And so their solution to that was to destroy everything, right? Which is kind of the typical, like, I'm the high modernist. I've got all these grand communist ideas about how to fix everything. And this is the way we're going to do it. And, they never take into account like the human factor. And they go, oh, well, we didn't. If just everyone had just done what I told them to do, it would have been fine, But that never,
Mhm.
that never works in any situation, right?
I think aspects of Jeff Booth's view on how chaos can increase and grow, it comes in the form of like politically strong feelings of populism, um, more and more kind of us versus them. It can be violence or people acting wackadoodle, and just like social. I mean, we see it. I mean, I don't want to say that. Oh, my feed curates it for me unfairly, if you will, but like I just, even as my feed might give it to me a lot, and I'm seeing fights and police cam and da 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 da, I I kind of have this sense that things out there are just sort of simmering with discomfort. People are grinding, angst ridden, looking for problems. So yeah, basically, but he's like, so okay, separate yourself from all of that. I think it's kind of like what you're saying is that okay, so all this is going on, the chaoses and ruptures and things and war. So okay, step back, zoom out, look at your situation, your life. What can you do?
Hmm.
Make you know, continue to weed your garden.
Right.
Don't be like looking at sagebrush, irradiated, depleted uranium prairie out there. Step back and say, okay, so be the change. Start with you, extend to your circle, be the change, and you know, anyway, fix yourself and use tools to do it. But anyway, no,
Free
it's
your
great.
mind, your ass will follow, as they say.
Thinking of um, death, change, ruptures, resurrection. Easter is tomorrow. So for me, it's fun because
Boo!
with a young one, we'll follow the white rabbit. For Easter, I'm going to get up early and hide some eggs. My daughter's not listening here because she woke up and she was asking about it. We were talking about it, and she was like, what does the bunny do? Where does he go? Where does he come from? Like, when is he out there? And anyway, so the interesting traditions that I grew up with, where like my family wasn't overtly Christian, but I mean, obviously there's Christmas, quite Christian. Easter we would do, and it was like for the kids, Okay, the tree and the presents and the stockings. For Easter, the eggs are out in the yard, and this whole fantasy around a bunny
Right.
and this rebirth springtime thing. It's interesting where all that comes from and how that kind of cultural and tradition occurred based on sort of, I don't know what downstream watered down versions of religious things, but uh, I was going to talk about Easter eggs related to Bitcoin.
Oh,
There's an Easter egg in the Genesis block that everybody knows about. Um, uh, but there's also people have looked for other little Easter eggs in Bitcoin. So I wanted to kind of touch upon those just kind of for fun for Easter tomorrow. So the Genesis block Easter egg, everybody knows about the chancellor's brink of second bailout for banks. Have you ever heard of other Easter eggs in Bitcoin?
well, I've heard of people embedding stuff into the code, and especially in op return and things like that. But
In the original code on line 1616, there was a comment that was a hex. It's just kind of a random. You might say, "Oh, that just shouldn't be there. It's something messed up," but it's a hex code that was put in as a comment that um, when you convert it from hex to text, it's the same message backwards. Um, Satoshi put it in there for fun. I don't know. Anyway, it's
nobody
another
knows.
little Easter egg.
Yeah.
The times, da 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 da. Anyway, so it's that backwards converted to hex and put in a comment in the original code. If you have a Mac, the white paper is hidden in
Used to
many.
be. They got rid of that.
Did they? Well, there was an Easter egg of the white paper in there for a little while.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Also, so here's the fourth, or maybe I don't know, whatever. Another Easter egg that um, is potentially imaginary but coincidental. So, Executive Order 6102. forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates. Actually, so hey, that came out April 5th, 1933, right around this time of year. So the number of blocks before the difficulty adjustment occurs, it's about every 2 weeks, but it's every 2016 blocks. And so it's like, why is it 2016 blocks? That's kind of, I mean, it could be anything if you're kind of aiming for a certain time frame, and it's kind of about every couple of weeks, but it's 6102 backwards.
I think that's a little overfitting right there.
It's exactly what Satoshi intended.
Yeah, 2016 is also a very commonly fractured data size as well. So, but you know,
Yeah.
let's put some reverse logic in there and just make it fit. Why not?
We're getting into you start to decipher entomology and word tricks and magics. Nostradamus in Bitcoin. So
yeah, this is very Nostradamus.
Anyway,
like
there's some Easter eggs for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, what's 2016 divided by 128? What's that work out to? 15.75. There's something about 2016 blocks. There's something with that number. It's a data rounding thing.
It probably fits for something that, like in hex or something that's kind of rounded, or I don't know as a tech end, but
yeah,
you know, maybe it's for a reason. But
maybe, I don't know. What we really need is for Satoshi to come and buy this podcast out so we can broadcast like Sam Altman did for that business podcast you were talking about. That's what we need. Hey, Satoshi, if you're listening.
Oh, these guys are brilliant.
Please buy this podcast. I'll do it for, next to nothing, really. Just a couple of those Bitcoin you got socked away there. You only got like $1 million of them. Yeah, why not? That'd be great. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
What's that worth these days? Not much. Less. 27 or 67,000.
Let's see. I've got a little
6731712. Just dropped $3. Market's over.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is the Bitcoin experiment done?
Is this the end? A winter season. I think if, for people that are planting and watering and trying to sprout, man, it's early for springtime yet in Bitcoin. It's like, keep your seed corn dry, but not a lot of sprouting right now. It's kind of simmering and sitting and watching.
Yeah. Well, as the traders will say, if a price is coming down and it hits a level and it just keeps bouncing on that level, they say it's kind of like tap dancing on ice. The more you tap on that level, the more likely you are to go bloop. So, I mean, obviously you can't assign any weight to that, but if you're just sitting here looking, you kind of go, feel like I've seen this before too. And it did have that tepid little, return to like 74K or something. And then it was just like next week, just, so.
Well, yeah, you still see responses like fiat trading, buying and selling of Bitcoin based on certain news like oil or war or, like buying rumors, selling the news kind of things where you see the price react to stuff and you're like, there's a lot of people still playing with Bitcoin based on the game, that big game. So,
well, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of people playing with Bitcoin, period. Right. So, I mean, if you look at miner incentives, you kind of go, well, if they stack up a bunch while they're profitable, and then as profitability narrows, they have to dump, right? And not only do they have to dump whatever they've stored up, they also have to do that to make their equipment more competitive for the next time, to the next, halving, right? So price going up, they go, cool, let's stack. Price starts going down, they go, okay, cool, let's dump. And then that, feeds, and then it gets to a bottom point where theoretically all these miners have now upgraded all their shit and they've got new miners and they're all on the latest and greatest and they got better electricity savings in preparation for the next thing. So they just start cranking up again and they start mining for gold. And then all of a sudden price starts rising, right? So because they stop selling, they start, creating and holding. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, is that a plausible mechanism, or is it more likely the price is bouncing because of, war and oil and news? And you go, well, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is one economic model that says, well, it's trading like a risk asset. And there's another economic model that says, well, it's trading just like what a miner would trade like. And then there's another model that says, well, there's like 5,000 whales that can like sort of not necessarily collude, but sort of orient their buys and sells in the same direction because it favors them. They go, oh, well, I got this Bitcoin for $10 back in 2011 and I've got 10,000 of them. And now the price is 128,000. That's pretty good. I started with $10 and now it's worth 128,000 each. So if I just sell like 100 of them, well, that's a good yacht if I want.
I've done my share of hodling, and even after I sell, I can hodl. So
right, and I've still got 9,900 left. So what matters if I strip off 100 of them or 1,000 of them? Never mind if you've got like 100,000 Bitcoin or something like that. And some of these whale wallets are huge, and they move, right? So you go, well, okay. So what are the economic factors underlying this? Well, could be that it's trading like a risk asset, or it could be because of BlackRock, or it could just be the natural buyers and sellers are naturally buying and selling, right? And the natural buyers and sellers are not the plebs that are like, dude, I got to 0.1 Bitcoin today. It's like the guy that was like, oh, dude, I'm sitting on 127,000 Bitcoin that I got in 2011. I just happen to still have. Like, lucky me. I'm the natural seller because if I sell my entire stack, nothing happens to the price. Like, not even locally, not even on the exchange that I'm using. It's going to be just like, like any possible exchange I could do would be absorbed in 2 seconds flat. But if some whale comes along to an OTC desk and they're working out deals in the background, and like you go, well, what's the direction of price and where's that coming from? Oh, that's probably coming from the people that have all the Bitcoin, would be my guess, right?
Yeah, and miners are under a lot of pressure. I mean, it's been tight on mining in terms of the infrastructure and overhead or however they get their energy, the cost of their energy. It gets really, it's competitive anyway. And then if they, I mean, sometimes to function, as they mine, they gotta sell some, but like there've been some ruptures there. Like BitDeer like sold all their Bitcoin. Mara sold a whole bunch. There's the pivot over to AI where there's some money for now there as well, different uptime expectations, things like that. But and computation differently. But yeah, it's like miners are under pressures to, if the price wasn't just up high where we're like, okay, yeah, I mean, every once in a while we'll sell a little, but we can stack.
Right.
But then it's like when the price goes down, they're like, oh, instead of selling one or two here and there, we got to kind of sell whatever we mine.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a continual downward pressure at a certain point, which would kind of align with the 4-year cycle thesis, right? So I don't know, man. Like, I mean, there's still those arguments that float around that are not necessarily in Bitcoin circles that talk about the security budget and what that means in the future and all that kind of stuff. And if you think about the fact that the block reward is going to have to like 1.5 Bitcoin, so you're going to be devoting a lot of energy to a very, very small return. So if the price isn't going up, like if the price continues crabbing, then a lot of these miners start evaporating, right? And then you get into a real problem where it's not that they'll evaporate. They'll just go, well, hey, we got these massive data centers that are already geared up to do all kinds of computation, and this isn't profitable anymore. Should we just go bankrupt? No, well, let's maybe repurpose this towards something that's profitable. Oh, okay. Yeah, do that. Right? Like that. I mean, it's not like you don't need some conspiracy or you don't need some like grand anything. It's grand design or whatever. It's just like, well, does this make money? No, then let's not do it anymore, right? Like, just like if you went to work and you go, well, you have to pay us to be here, you'd be like, nope. I'm not going to do that, right? Like,
yeah, I'll just stop doing that.
Yeah, right. Why would you continue? Like, you would never continue in your own personal life. Like, hey, I need to show up to this job where they make lots of demands of me and I have to pay to be here, or I just break even. That doesn't sound great. Like, the whole reason I'm here is so I can get more than I spend. And if you're not going to
Mhm.
do that for me, then I either need to figure out how to spend less, which is what the miners do currently, or you need to go find something more profitable, right? And so, like, if you're a janitor and you're really not pleased with how much money you make as a janitor, you need to go figure out a way to make more money than that, right? Or you can do like the miners do and you just keep cutting expenses until your janitorial work covers your life. But at some point, if that continues degrading, like if all of a sudden robots show up on the terrain and go like, "Hey, I can do janitor work all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you got to do is plug me in once a week, and otherwise, I'm going to do a better job than you because I won't reuse rags and I won't, steal toilet paper off the cart and I won't, steal trash bags for home use. And I don't bitch and complain every time someone, leaves clogs a toilet, right? So
Mhm.
so if you're the janitor, then you have to pivot, and I think miners will pivot. And then you get into that whole security issue of like, well, what secures Bitcoin if there's no miners?
Plebs. The plebs take it back.
Do they though?
I don't know. I don't know. These three little guys right here become much more useful.
Yeah, that's the bulwark. But the thing is like if that hash rate collapses in any meaningful sense, like the China ban, you saw a big dip in hash, but the to overcome the network was still problematic, right? But if it goes down like 2/3 or something, like all of a sudden it can get problematic fast, right? So uh I mean I don't want to give too much weight to the people that focus on the security budgets because it tends to be like BSV people and and those other fucking kind of altcoins, rooted in Bitcoin logic.
Right.
But they do have a point that should be at least considered if you're a Bitcoiner, right? Like you can't just go, well, that'll never happen. Right? Like right now, everyone's all focused on quantum and all this kind of shit just because that happens to be the latest because Google said something once in a fucking press release.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
then the whole world's just like, oh, let's just glom on this and I'll have opinions about this. And this is all the reasons why this. And this is important now because this is the only thing that gives any traction because no one's paying attention to my price predictions anymore. So let's talk about quantum. And then as soon as that
Mhm.
goes away, they're going to talk about something else. But meanwhile, there's like actual structural issues that are like ignored, best I can tell. So I don't know.
It'll be, and I think it'll be an interesting year. There's a lot. Um, I don't know. There's just a lot happening in the world,
Yeah.
and I think it'll. Well, so what will be really quite a thing? I think. What is it? Is it next year for the halving?
Oh, yeah.
Um, so when the halving occurs, about a year from now, maybe probably less than that. I think when the halving occurs, a lot of minor incentives have to do the math. I mean, they're doing the math. They're just thinking about, okay, where are we in terms of what we're doing and for what? I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Well, let's see. It's 2 years from now. It's 1 year,
Oh,
361
2 years
days.
from now. I guess that
And
makes sense. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
1 year, 361 days and 10 hours.
Okay. Estimatedly. Yeah. So,
March
yeah.
31, 2028. Well, but I mean, that's what I'm
Huh.
getting at is like if you're talking about like a lot of people that are pushing for monetary transactions right now are doing that because they are recognizing, I think, that there's a ton of empty blocks going out and there's not a lot of transactional security going on. And if transaction fees aren't making up for lost miner revenue, then the price of Bitcoin needs to dramatically increase for miners to stay profitable, right? So the price cannot be hovering at around 100K if your reward is only 1.5 Bitcoin. Like it doesn't, that math doesn't math, right?
Mm-hmm.
Electricity alone kills you, never mind infrastructure and hardware. So you go, well, what does Bitcoin have to be sustainably, at a floor? You're probably talking like 150K to maintain a security budget just from block rewards, right? Like to maintain miner incentives to a sufficient degree that block rewards matter. So how many transaction fees would have to be stuffed into that chain to make up for the fact that like if Bitcoin was at 75K or 85K post halving, you go, ugh. Well, you need a lot. Well, how many transactions can the Bitcoin network support? Not that many. Oh, well, what do we do about that? Well, that's a problem because we've also been building this whole time like this layer 2 ecosystem where we don't have to transact on the chain at all for most transactions. Oh, cool. So what's that do to the security budget? Eh, eh. Well, we better hope number go up. Like, I mean, if Bitcoin hits $1 million, then security budget's locked in for a while, right? Like, but if Bitcoin's hitting 80,000, you go, ooh, that's a problem. We need come on 150K, right? So then then it becomes less about number go up so you can benefit, more about number go up so the protocol can survive. And that seems a little spooky to me.
Once, and number can go up, and we're talking about this in terms of the price of dollars, of which value goes down. Last week, what happened here? Oh yeah, so the United States Department of Treasury they didn't really announce it. They just quietly published the financial report of the government, and they just uploaded this PDF to the website. And so when you look at the message from the Secretary of the Treasury here, we got Besant, and when you read this, it's like kind of acknowledging challenges, but then it's like overall kind of positive. And at the end, he's like, under President Trump's leadership, this administration intends to restore the government to sound fiscal foundations, securing America's golden age far beyond our own time. And then you go back to, let's see, what's the executive summary say? Ooh.
Oopsie doodles.
Now this is in billions. So total liabilities, 47, almost 48 trillion. Total assets, 6 trillion.
That's fine.
That's fine. Basically, well, we're in a deep, deep, deep hole. And what tool do we have to get out of this? Well, we got a shovel. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's dig our way out of this.
Yeah, let's dig deeper, see what happens.
Let's dig sideways and then more sideways and up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, like the funny thing about the MMT people is they actually have a point here, right? Because a lot of people fault them for saying like, oh, they just want to print endlessly. And they go, no, like they actually say explicitly inflation is a barrier to just willy-nilly printing, right? But they also make a very salient point that like the future generations don't just inherit debt, right? Like, and as we were just discussing earlier, like all those changes that we've lived through already, all those catastrophic changes in life, we still have a denser, more robust infrastructure than we did 50 years ago. By every imaginable metric that you could possibly come up with, food security, stability of infrastructure, the access and reach of infrastructure, your ability to travel, your ability to, all kinds of get clothes, whatever. Like it's all far more secure today than it was 50 years ago. And a lot of it's a lot cheaper today than it was 50 years ago. So you go, well, so yes, we have all this extra debt now. We've got 47 trillion versus 6 trillion in assets. But we also have, how much do we count for the infrastructure? Like how much is accounted for in non-tangibles that aren't on the government balance sheet? Because what is the internet worth?
Right.
What is cellular network technology worth? What is having a computer in your fucking pocket that can do just about everything you need? What's that worth? What is it worth to have satellite geolocation? What is it worth to have manufacturing capabilities where you can just scale instantly? What is it worth to have like global supply chains that you can just like you can tap as any business owner on planet Earth? You can just go, oh, I can tap into this thing just by accessing a website. Go, what's that worth? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it $1? Or is it 10 trillion? Is it 100 trillion? Maybe, just maybe all that debt bought something that is not measured in the government statistics, but we're all benefiting from on some level. So you go,
Like
well,
the value of anyone just able to go out there and do things.
yeah,
That is huge right now.
massive. Yeah.
So what is that worth? Well, whatever we make, I guess. And maybe that's the
Right.
hope. Well, with AI or with innovation and ingenuity, and as Americans as we are, we're gonna grow the economy. It's like, okay,
But
where?
but I mean, but that's the point, is like it kind of becomes less relevant about like how much debt you're carrying, especially if you have the sovereign ability to just like change shit. Just go, this old way doesn't really work. Let's do a new way, right? Like if you have that capacity, if I as a business owner could just go, the way we're accounting for things isn't great because it makes it look like we're doing worse than we are. So I'm just going to change the accounting, right? Like I'm just going to make it so it looks like we're always in profit. How's that? Like your shareholders might look at you and be like, hey, wait, whoa, wait a minute, wait, hold on. Last year you said we were losing money. This year we're in profit, but you still can't give me any of that profit. Like, how does that work exactly? Well, I just changed the numbers, right? I just shaved some zeros. I just moved some shit around. I just said this isn't really a liability anymore. This is actually an asset. But that means because it's now an asset, it doesn't really equate to like something I can distribute. So that's why. And you would rightfully look at that and go, hey, that's not fair. Like I'm a shareholder in, XYZ Corporation. I don't agree with this. But it still doesn't, like the company's still going to be there. It's still going to be operating, and companies do this kind of shit all the time. Right. So
Like there's zombie companies out there. I mean,
yeah,
I think of all the zombie companies that we do stuff, but it's like, okay, value for value. What is it that you're doing that you're not just like another finance company, like GM might as well just be a loan business company or whatever. Like, and yeah, there's cars and they move cars, but they're like a financial company.
right. Well, I mean, you saw the old like Three Stooges bit, right? Like, hey, I just got $20. Hey, you owe me $10. Oh, here's $10. I owe you 10. Okay, great. Round and around they go. Like, hey, we're all good. Wait a minute, like, and so the thing, but that's very, very, very common in corporate finance to this day. They just go, hey, you owe me $20. I go, yeah, well, okay, well, here's 10. Oh, okay, here's 10, I'll owe you 10. Here's 10, I'll owe you 10. And so they go round and round and round and round and round. And then at the end, they go, well, what's left is like the actual debt that everyone's sort of carrying, but we've all sort of netted it out. So there's only one real bag holder here, but we'll just do the same thing again the next time that bag holder gets some money. He'll just go, oh, we'll just round and round we go. And then maybe the debt grew in the meantime. It's like, hey, I need to borrow $10 again, right? And so they just keep going round and round and round. You go, what's the actual economic activity here? Because that's the entire AI industry right now. Is all predicated on like, well, we valued your company at $7 billion. Why? Because we made promises about like revolutionizing some fucking thing, and who knows? Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Oh, okay, cool. Well, what did we do based on that valuation? Well, we gave you $7 billion worth of fucking compute. Oh, cool. Wait, how'd you get that valuation? Well, because all these other companies are all valued at $10 billion each, and they all use our software and our equipment. That makes our equipment worth, $100 trillion. So therefore, this is all like a big circle. It's all fine. You go, but what's the actual value? Oh, we don't really talk about that part. We just keep going like, hey, you owe me $20. Here's 10. I owe you 10. Okay, great. Let's just keep that game going until someone can figure out how to make some money out of this thing, because we don't know. And so, if you kind of boil the whole economy to that, and then you apply that to like public finance, you go, well, what is really debt, and what is really like value, and what is really any of this shit, other than just like it's a big coordination game, and we're all trying to keep the little thing going. Because at the end of it all, regardless of how you unpack it, you go, well, on balance, just zoom way out, you go, well, not as many babies die anymore. Not as many people get rickets. Not as many people get scurvy. Not as many people get dysentery. Most people have access to some sort of health thing, but the food they eat is pretty terrible. So I don't know. But overall, like people live a long, miserable life now. Like, okay, well, is that better than before? Well, it used to be they'd live a short, miserable life. So Yeah, I guess that's better, right? But you go, well, where is, I mean, because for us locally, in a very small bubble of the world, we go, hey, man, last week I could buy 10 Twinkies for $10, and this week I only get 8 Twinkies for $10. That's, everything's broken. Ah! It's like, yeah, but what about the rest of your life? Like, so I think it's hard to boil all this
Yeah.
shit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think of the parallel of like what's going on with AI and the companies and where they trade the $20 bill around. I think of the like leading up to the 2008 crisis, where what they call them subprime mortgages. They packaged them up so that they had a they're kind of put together in these boxes and they put a name on it. It's like, well, instead of being like just a, a septic tank itself, we're going to call them just grade B.
Right.
They're grade B subprimes. Well, that sounds like an asset or something
Yeah.
to buy uh,
Trade.
and trade. And meanwhile, I mean, a huge amount of these giant loans, like what bank in their right mind would offer a fixed low rate interest for 30 years, like Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, whatever. Like it's like subsidizing that. And I know they fix and change rules around that, but it's sort of like things are just sort of like packaged up where it's like, no, we have assets here. See, they got a label of AI swap, and but it's just grade B quasi prime.
Yeah.
And so so we can see like I don't know, not that there's a big short to do, but like basically I could see like a 2008 financial crisis that's not real estate so much or subprime, but and the packages they made, but it's sort of like corporate, like the music kind of stops and everybody's scrambling for seats and they're just, oh, there's like 2 seats
Right.
and there's 100 of us.
Get on my lap, quick. Yeah. Well, I mean that's what I'm getting at though, is like whatever that dislocation looks like, because it's bound to happen, because the whole thing is predicated on a sort of gross fiction about wealth and value and all that kind of stuff. And so when you have people talking about, well, we need to return to sound finance, you go, what's that mean? Well, reasons and things, and they talk about gold standards and this and that, and I go, yeah, but they went away from that for a reason. It wasn't because it was working great and everyone just said, this is amazing, we should just shit can it so we can make some more money. They went and said, oh, this doesn't fucking work. This is broken to all kinds of levels. If we keep trying to do this, we're just going to collapse everything, and that's no good. So let's find a different way to do it. Okay. And then they do. And then that way is all fraught with its own problems. And all those problems rear their ugly heads. And now we're getting to the point where those are starting to come to the fore. And they go, oh, well, we can't keep doing it this way. That's a problem. Otherwise, the whole thing collapses. So we can't let it collapse because that's no good. So we need to find a different way to make this thing keep going. Okay, do that. Cool. And that's going to be the new normal. You go, well, disruption. You go, well, maybe, but chances are good not as disruptive as people are painting it out to be. And like, if you live in some country that doesn't have a reserve currency or a competitive reserve currency like the euro or the Chinese yuan or something like that, yeah, you're probably going to face some like, oh man, I used to be able to get all kinds of neat stuff for this dollar. Now I don't get as much for that dollar. Or I used to be able to get all kinds of neat stuff for this euro. Now I don't get as much. But if you live in like, some country is issuing its own script, you go, well, now our whole thing is just broken. Like it just doesn't work at all. So how are they going to fix it? They're going to go into the orbit of the big three, because that's where else are you going to go? Like all those Latin American countries figured that out a long time ago. They go, well, our little local currency just keeps getting hammered. What should we do? Why don't you just use dollars? Huh? What does that mean? Well, you don't get to tinker as much, but you can stabilize all this crazy shit that's going on. You get to be just about as stable as the US, which isn't great, but it's better than what you guys are doing. Okay, yeah, let's do that, right? So if you're like some Central African country, you go, hey, we keep tinkering with our currency, and then the IMF keeps hammer fucking us, and then the US authorities keep hammer fucking us for, SWIFT access and all this kind of shit. and they're debasing the shit out of us. But the Chinese have invested like 10 billion in our infrastructure, and they just want us to price shit in their thing. Well, what's that mean? Well, you're going to be about as stable as China. It's not great, but certainly better than what we got, because right now everyone's starving. So let's do that. And some other country is going to adopt the euro, and that's probably, my guess, is how things are going to start to play out. And especially when they make it super easy with like, oh, well, you don't even have to print new currency. All you got to do is just put this app on your phone, and you get to tap our entire financial network. And yeah, you got to pay a little fee to us, but
and you'll be completely legible and tracked in everything you do,
right?
Just as a matter of course.
Of course. So, but you go, well, where's the collapse scenario in that? You go, well,
yeah. So like no collapse, just
change. Like, but it always changes. It's never stable. Like you cannot pick any single point in history and go, oh, this was when everything worked great. Everything was just perfectly stable. Everyone was happy. Everyone was well fed. Everyone got what they wanted. Everyone got what they deserved. No one got super rich off of extracting from others. No one got super poor from not being able to extract enough. Everything was just, this was utopia. This was the perfect arrangement. If we could just get back to that arrangement, everything would be fine. You go, well, that has never happened, and it probably never will, because it's too complex to boil it down to something that simple, right? So that's when I talk about, like, collapse scenarios and, oh, the dollar's dying and its days are numbered and this and that. I go, well, that probably sells books. That probably sells subscriptions. That probably sells, all kinds of things. But if you start orienting too much of your energy around that, you go, well, you can end up making some pretty catastrophic mistakes by putting too much stock in that. Like, I've made those catastrophic mistakes through my life, where I was so convinced that, everything was about to collapse and everything was falling apart, and I should, stock up all this supplies for when the Civil War comes and blah, 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 blah. And you go, what did you get from that? Nothing, just a lot of stress. I wasted a lot of time and effort on resources that ended up being discarded anyway. And they never helped me in any meaningful fashion, other than like some psychological thing where I was like, oh, I feel more comfortable now because I'm afraid of something that isn't going to happen, never did happen, probably never will, if that makes sense. What's up, Bring Facts?
Yeah. Maybe no collapse, but lots of change. With that, ruptures here and there, chaos here and there, or lots. I don't know, but
well, I don't.
Not even chaos.
How much more chaos can we have, right? Like,
it's just been. I mean, it's been a mix of chaos, I guess.
It's been chaos since the beginning. Like, since the day the country was founded, it's been nothing but chaos.
Yeah.
Like, there's never been a time in this country where it's like, oh, this is the golden age of America. It's like, well, there was that one little period for about 5 years after World War II where things were going pretty swimmingly. And then they just broke all that immediately. Like, 5 years later, they were already fucking it up. So you go, well, so the golden age of America was 5 years long. Yes. Well, what about the Industrial Revolution? Well, I mean, if you ignore the Civil War and all the debasement and all the banks failing and all the financial calamities and all the financial collapses, and that was a golden age. It was perfect. It was amazing. It worked great. Gold standard fixed everything except for all the major problems that were happening. If you just ignore all the problems, it was great. You go, well, that doesn't make sense, right? So you go, oh, chaos is coming. You go, more chaos than just like lock down the entire world for a few months just as an experiment? That seems pretty chaotic to me. Like, how much more chaos do you want? Like, that was the chaos. That's, you go, what's next? Well, more chaos. Then what? Like, what do what does that chaos look like? Because they literally changed all the rules of the game in one pen stroke. They just went, everything that you held to be true is now gone, right? Like, your freedom to choose what goes in your body, gone. Your freedom to move, gone. Your freedom to associate, gone. Your ability to retain purchasing power in your unit of account, gone. Okay, but more chaos is coming. We can just see it now. It's like, dude, it's just more of the same thing. Like, it's not, if this is making sense.
Yeah. And in fact, that it's quite plausible that the next continuation of it all is, let's say worse than COVID.
What's worse than COVID?
That's just it. It's like, oh shit. I don't know.
But I mean, that's what I'm getting at is you
It'll
kind of
be
go, well,
worse than COVID.
how would you prepare for worse than COVID? They
I don't
literally
know.
took everything from you.
I
Every
don't know.
single right that you claimed, or not you personally, but like every
We
right
all,
that is enshrined in the Constitution evaporated.
yeah,
Every, common logic about money evaporated. Every common logic about administration evaporated. Every common logic about markets and global supply chains, all of it evaporated in just one. We're going to do this now. And that was
yeah,
Donald
right.
Trump's signature on it. And so that guy's going to be the savior now to fix all this mess that he is very much part and parcel of creating. You go, okay. So what you're suggesting is the next chaos is going to be where everybody dies, because that's the next step. And if it's everybody dies, then you're not going to prepare for that. Like, you're
Right.
either going to be fodder or you're not, and you don't get to pick what that looks like. So you kind of go,
Yeah.
well, what can I do in the meantime? You go, well, probably not worth worrying about any more than it's worth worrying about any other cataclysmic, life-ending event. Because if that's happening, then you don't have any say in the matter. It's like it's either going to happen or it doesn't. So in the meantime, you can look around and go, well, what's more likely to happen is this just kind of keeps going in fits and starts, and they're just going to patch over shit and try and keep it going as best they can, because that's what everybody benefits from.
Yeah. It's just stretches my mind. I don't know. I don't know what to can't know it. Can't expect it. Just kind of, well. So now with Bitcoin, there's some simple things you can do. Things you can do to hone your craft and do something. Think through your life as it exists and how based it is. What is that to you? So I
Well,
don't know.
take advantage of what you got while you got it, right? Like, either you
Oh
maximize the available resources or you do not. And my recommendation is maximize available resources as much as possible.
yeah, and thinking of big change, legibility, things about that. There was I mean, in a way, it's like I've known this for a long time, but there was a news bit that came out, what Channel 5 interview saying that the FBI confirmed under oath that it purchases Americans' data in bulk from the same data brokers that builds your ad profiles or wherever they buy it. They in 2018, the Supreme Court ruled that to track someone's phone requires a warrant. So the workaround is that they buy data from the data brokers just like ad agencies would,
Mhm.
And so the FBI, the DEA, DHS, military intelligence, they all purchase our data from data brokers. Examples mean Babel Street, Penlink, Thomson Reuters, LexisNexis. And then they deploy facial recognition apps in the field to return single matches with no confidence score, but treat it as a definitive ID. So the same companies so in our heads, it's like, okay, our data is sold for ad algorithms or whatever, but intelligence, government, law enforcement agencies are also buying that up to have the data they need without warrants. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess as we knew, but I guess they said it out loud under oath. So, like, we're buying your data. We have all that data. Like, what do we need warrants for if we kind of know you anyway?
Right.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that, but that traces back to the whole conversation writ large. Is you go, well, what is that? And it's just the same shit they've been doing for the last 5,000 years, and it's going to be the same shit they're going to do for the next 5,000 years. And the only question that remains is like, well, what do we do about it in the meantime? On the individual level, almost nothing. On the system level, you kind of go, well, there's little tweaks and nudges here and there, and that's kind of it. And then there's always little frictions that come in, like Bitcoin is a huge friction. You go, well, how legible are you with your Bitcoin? Well, if I bought it on an exchange, very legible, so that's not great. But if you have non KYC Bitcoin, you go, oh, that's completely illegible. Oh, that's pretty neat. So I can have a property that no one can see, no one can take. It's a pretty big deal in the grand scheme of things. That's a big, big, big shift in the last 5,000 years of history, and certainly a big shift in the last 12,000 years of history. So you go, well, if I were planning on some sort of future that's very uncertain and nobody really knows where it's going, maybe I should hang on to the one thing that is at least new and available. Like you go, well, that's an available resource right now that I can put some energy into. That's probably a good idea, right? Like you go, I need to fight the NSA about their data collection practices. Good luck with that. Like that's been happening for the last 20 years. Like how far did that get you? Well, they just scoop it up a different way. They just work around whatever thing you're bitching about. Oh, okay, cool. What can they do to work around Bitcoin? Well, they struggle with that one. That's a tough one. So what they do instead is they make it so it's less attractive for you to do that. Oh, okay. Do I have to follow that though? No. Oh, well, maybe I'll do that. Right? Like that is a huge source of friction for you as a human being on planet Earth right now. That is very different than anything anyone's ever had for the last 12,000 years. So, when people ask me about Bitcoin, I go, well, oh, Bitcoin is money. I go, Bitcoin is XYZ. Bitcoin is non-sovereign right of exclusion. It's kind of a big deal, guys. So
Non-sovereign right of exclusion.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge, dude. Like
it's
if you
big paradigm, yeah, big shift.
Major, massive. And so I try and I spend a lot of time, probably too much time, trying to tamp down on like fear mongering, because I go, well, but it doesn't really get you anywhere, right? Like it doesn't change your day-to-day operation. Just like if you would talk to the guy in 300 AD and you told him like, hey, dude, your farm is about to be under different rule because Rome is collapsing right now. They'd be like, oh my God, what should I do? You should save up some sheep and you should fucking, get some extra wheat and you should dig a pit in the backyard where you can hide all this shit. You go, yeah, but in 50 years from now, they're just going to come and kill me anyway because I got to go fight in a war. Oh, well, all that would have mattered not at all. Like, thank God you prepared. Thank God I got you all worked up about it. But, in the next year, they're just going to burn your farm down anyway. And then they're going to bulldoze it and they're going to put a new town there. So thank God you prepared for the thing that might be happening because Rome is collapsing, right? Like, what could he have done instead?
Put your entire farm and everything into 12 words and walk your way to Portugal.
Yeah, exactly. That's huge, right? Like if you could have gone back to that same farmer and go, hey, dude, all this is subject to all kinds of crazy shit that you have no control over and you can't really prepare for it. You're pretty comfortable right now. I recommend you keep on doing that, but there is a way with 12 words where you can just kind of like, if shit gets really hairy, you can kind of go, well, I'm just going to go over here and keep doing this somewhere else. And you can just do it. Like, no, you don't have to ask permission. You don't have to do anything. You just take a little bit of what you're storing up and put it into that thing and then just let that grow. And so if Rome collapses, you still got property. If the new king comes along, he turns out to be a great guy, you still got property. If the new king comes along, turns out to be an asshole, you still got property. If the new king comes along, turns out to be a pretty great guy, and then some other king comes and kicks his ass, and then it all breaks down because no one can really figure out who's in charge, and then some local gang comes over and they're in charge now, you still got this thing. So it almost doesn't matter what the collapse looks like. You go, well, I've got a thing. And if you tie that to like, well, my health is pretty good. I'm in pretty good shape. I don't have to worry about too many things. I'm not too dependent on this apparatus that I'm in. I have lots of options now. So it almost doesn't matter what the collapse looks like. As long as I don't get zapped immediately, I've got options. And that's kind of what I look at more, right? Because you go, well, I just need to go walk away from every life convenience that the modern world offers so I can go live in a cabin like the Unabomber and recycle my own pee because that's going to protect me from everything. You go, well, but is it really? Because all that's going to do is just make you lonely and weird. And you're going to start talking to yourself while you're chopping wood and like, rah, 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 rah. We got to get the wood because the wood makes the fire and the fire makes the good. Right? You don't want to be that guy. So, and you certainly don't want your kids growing up that way, right? So like, you go, well, but life is pretty good if you can kind of just go, well, this is what I got to work with right now. And I have a thing. So I'll build the thing and then kind of see what happens, right? Rather than like, I'm just going to plan for all these contingencies that may or may not happen, probably won't happen. And if I just look at the history of the world, I go, well, all of this is just always a variable and you never really know what's going to happen. But if you have access to something that's never existed before, maybe just maybe, like go, well, I'll hang on to that at least. That is something that looks pretty stable right now. And it's got some risks attached to it as well. But in the vast universe of potential risks I face, this seems to be narrowed in surface area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And meanwhile, thinking of what you're working on lately in your book as well, and the coinage, metals, the Tournament of Kings. There's in Germany. There was a news that came out where Germany's finance ministry announced it is cutting the silver content in its 35 euro and 50 euro commemorative coins by 46%, dropping from 18 grams to 17 grams and replacing the removed silver with copper. It's to prevent the coins from tracking metal prices and to curb speculation. So like they're diluting the precious metal content of these silver coins because the metal's becoming too valuable relative to what the product they're actually making here. So
yeah.
Anyway, kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean that,
Typical.
gold is another one. Like, Bitcoiners hate gold, but I go, well, it's, people have really enjoyed gold for a long, long time. So I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket necessarily, but I certainly wouldn't poo-poo anybody who was like, I don't believe in Bitcoin, I buy gold. I go, well, that makes sense to me, right? Like there's some merit to that thinking. It's not like completely insane to assume that, gold is a bad buy. Whether it can protect you as well as something like, because you don't have a non-sovereign right of exclusion to your gold. Like someone can just bash you on the head and take your gold. And that's problematic, right? Like if you wanted to stack enough that you go, I'm secure forever. Like you want to be Ron Johnson or Ron Swanson or whatever, and just have so much gold buried around your yard that, you feel like you're secure forever. You go, well, yeah. And all it takes is a guy with a metal detector and bigger guns than you to take all that away. So, and there are a lot of people with a lot bigger guns than anything we'll ever own. So maybe have a little, maybe have enough that like it can be the thing when the guys with big guns come on and go, hey, give me all your stuff. And you go, all I got's this little bag of gold. And I go, you're not supposed to have gold. Bonk. Ow. Oh God. Sorry. And give me all your food while you're at it. Rah, and they walk off. And you go, okay, well, I still got my Bitcoin. I just got bashed on the head. They took all my canned goods and my gold. And they took all my guns while they were here. That's kind of annoying. I think I'm going to take a hike. Oh, where are you hiking to? Somewhere else. Somewhere a little less likely.
Anywhere else where
Bitcoin
still works.
Yeah.
I saw being springtime, I'm seeing squirrels out and about and so randomly. So with that, I noticed it's like I'm seeing a lot of random roadkill again. Like all the squirrels wake up for spring, and I was driving to work yesterday and I saw a random squirrel on the road. And I've been, it's just that time of year you start seeing this random stuff. So there's a dead squirrel in the middle of the road, and I was like, oh, poor guy. And what went through my head was throughout last fall, that squirrel, as he survived all winter, nested in the wind and the rain and the snow and the cold, and he survived all winter.
Yeah.
Wakes up in the spring, a beautiful day, he's feeling life, he's living thriving squirrel life, runs across the road, gone.
Yeah.
And I imagined all of the little acorn nut caches that he'd hidden around that are like buried somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, did he tell his squirrel wife back at home in the nest where all those were? Like, I bet there's all these acorns are buried and gone.
Yeah. Just stashed.
With every roadkill, there's just a cache of acorns that no one will get.
Yeah.
But they will grow into trees.
Yeah. Probably.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's prepping right there. That's prepping. In a nutshell.
You prep, and then you cross the road, and I didn't see that.
Yeah, didn't see that coming, and that's kind of the point, right? Is like you can prepare for, like, that squirrel was prepared for everything that squirrel thought he needed to prepare for, except for a GMC, you know, and a pair of BF Goodrich tires, right? So, yeah,
Prep harder.
prep harder.
Well, with that, Easter's tomorrow, and I'm going to be getting up early and being Mr. Easter Bunny. Oh, she can't hear me. My toddler's upstairs. That'll be fun. So enjoy Easter, everybody.
Yep. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining. Always fun. Fixing the
Episode
world's
100
problem.
next week.
Big one.
Woo! Big round numbers, decimal. Okay.
Don't forget the ad.
Oh yeah. Where's my thing?
Buy a MicroSeed.
There's a MicroSeed you can get.
MicroSeed is the best way to take self-custody. One single MicroSeed kit allows you to stamp as many seed phrases as you want. And you can fit all 12 or 24 words on one single washer. You can even go down to the hardware store and buy your own washers by the bag or the box and crank out as many as you want. Go nuts. You can also go to microseed.io to get any extra washers you need, including stainless steel, nylon, or even titanium washers. Your obscure little washer is indestructible, and you can hide it anywhere. Use your imagination. MicroSeed comes with stainless steel washers, a titanium washer, and even a nylon washer. Think of metal detectors or having to travel through security. Depth scanners cannot read this. Go to microseed.io and use promo code FRITZ to get 5% off the best seed stamping tool available. So get off paper and get yourself a MicroSeed at microseed.io.
Woo!
Oh, we're still here.
We're still here.
Glad
With
I
that-
wasn't sick of my nose.
Happy Easter, everybody.